Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's B2 Level podcast. In this episode, we will start a long, immersive story about a city full of mysteries, forgotten dreams, and people who are searching for meaning. Get comfortable, take a deep breath, and prepare for a journey that will explore not just places, but human emotions, ambition, and the choices that shape our lives. The city of Solaria was a place unlike any other. From the outside, it appeared ordinary. Buildings lined the streets, people hurried to work or school, and the sounds of cars, buses, and distant music filled the air. But those who looked closer could see something different. The city had layers, hidden streets, abandoned corners, secret gardens, and small cafes that seemed frozen in time. Amelia, a young historian and dreamer, had always been fascinated by Solaria. She had lived there all her life, yet she felt she had only scratched the surface of its stories. She worked at the city museum, cataloging old documents, letters, and photographs. But Amelia wanted more. She wanted to uncover the hidden stories, the forgotten dreams, and the secrets that the city itself seemed to keep. One rainy afternoon, while sorting through a pile of old letters in the museum's archive, Amelia discovered a small yellowed envelope. It had no name, no date, and no return address. Curiosity took over, and she carefully opened it. Inside was a letter, written in elegant handwriting. To the one who seeks the forgotten dreams, follow the map and find the city of lost voices. There the past and the present will meet, and your questions will find answers. Amelia's heart raced. She had heard legends about the City of Lost Voices, a mythical part of Solaria said to only appear to those who truly sought it. Scholars dismissed it as a story for children, a fairy tale, but the letter felt real, and the map enclosed with it seemed to depict streets and buildings she had never seen before, even though she had lived in Solaria all her life. Determined, Amelia decided she would follow the map. She packed a small bag with essentials, a notebook, a camera, a flashlight, some snacks, and her favorite pen. She left the museum, the rain still falling lightly, and stepped into the streets, following the first mark on the map. The streets she entered were unfamiliar. Cobblestones replaced asphalt. Narrow alleys replaced wide avenues, and the usual noises of the city faded, replaced by a strange silence. Amelia noticed that the walls were covered in murals, faded and beautiful, depicting people with expressions of longing, hope, and sometimes sadness. She realized that these were the dreams the city had forgotten, memories captured in paint and stone. As she walked further, she felt a sense of being watched, not in a frightening way, but as if the city itself was alive and observing her curiosity. The map led her to a small garden hidden between two tall buildings. The garden was overgrown, with flowers and vines climbing over benches and fountains. In the center was a fountain, dry now, but carved with the shapes of faces of men, women, and children, all with eyes closed, as if dreaming. Amelia sat on the bench and opened her notebook. She began sketching the faces, noting the emotions they conveyed. She felt a deep connection with these forgotten dreams. It was as if the people who had once dreamed here were speaking to her silently. Hours passed as Amelia explored the garden, discovering hidden pathways, small gates, and inscriptions carved into stones. Each inscription was a story, a fragment of someone's life, a wish or regret frozen in time. She realized that the City of Lost Voices was not a place on a map. It was a state of awareness, a journey into understanding the hopes, fears, and forgotten dreams of those who had come before. As night fell, the city transformed. Lanterns flickered to life, casting warm glows over the cobblestones. The air smelled of wet earth and blooming flowers. Amelia felt both excitement and a slight fear. Was she truly alone in this hidden city, or were there others who had discovered it as well? She decided to stay in the garden until morning, recording everything she had seen in her notebook. She felt that this was only the beginning. The city of forgotten dreams had many layers, and she had only uncovered the first. Before closing her notebook, Amelia wrote, "I am part of something bigger than myself. The city is alive with memories, hopes, and dreams. I will uncover them, learn from them, and perhaps, in doing so, help the forgotten voices find a place in the world again." With that, she leaned back on the bench, listening to the gentle rustling of leaves, feeling the city's presence around her, and prepared for the journey that would continue tomorrow, long, mysterious, and full of discoveries that would challenge everything she thought she knew about Solaria and herself. The next morning, Amelia woke up before sunrise. The city was still quiet, the streets wet from last night's rain, and the air carried a faint smell of coffee and pastries from nearby bakeries. She quickly packed her notebook, pencils, and camera and returned to the hidden garden. Even in daylight, the garden felt magical. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dancing shadows across the cobblestones. Amelia decided to follow the next clue on the map. It led her to a narrow alley she had never noticed before, even though she had walked the city streets countless times. The walls of the alley were covered in intricate murals, each depicting a different dream. Some were simple, children playing with kites, or people walking dogs, but others were more abstract, showing impossible landscapes, flying machines, or strange creatures. She paused at a mural of a man reaching for a glowing star. Something about the expression in his eyes made Amelia feel a deep connection. She took out her camera and snapped a photo, then sat down to sketch the scene in her notebook. As she sketched, she noticed a small inscription at the bottom of the mural. "Dreams forgotten are not lost. They wait for those who remember." Amelia smiled. She felt that this city, these murals, and these hidden places were speaking directly to her. They were asking her to remember, to explore, and to give life to the dreams that had been left behind. Moving deeper into the alley, Amelia discovered a small door partially hidden by vines. She pushed it open and found herself in a tiny library filled with dusty books and ancient scrolls. It was quiet except for the soft creaking of the wooden floor beneath her feet. The air smelled of old paper and ink, a comforting and inspiring scent. She picked up a thick leather-bound book and opened it carefully. The pages were filled with handwritten notes, sketches, and diagrams. It seemed to be a journal of someone who had dedicated their life to preserving the forgotten dreams of the city. Each entry described how small acts, memories, and wishes could be recorded and remembered, ensuring that they would never truly vanish. Amelia spent hours in the library, reading, sketching, and taking notes. She felt a strange energy in the room, a connection to the people who had created this place and recorded their dreams. She realized that her journey was not only about discovering forgotten voices, it was about understanding how human ambition, hope, and imagination could shape the city itself. When she finally left the library, the sun was high in the sky. Amelia wandered through the streets, noticing small details she had never seen before. a cracked fountain with engraved words, a lamppost with tiny carvings of animals, and shop windows with old forgotten items that seemed to tell stories of past lives. She decided to take a small break at a cafe she had never visited before. The cafe was tiny, cozy, and smelled of fresh bread and cinnamon. As she sipped her tea, she noticed an elderly man sitting in the corner, writing in a journal. He looked up, smiled, and said, "Ah, a fellow seeker of stories. Be careful, young lady. The city can reveal wonders, but it can also challenge you in ways you do not expect." Amelia nodded. She understood what he meant. The city was beautiful, mysterious, and inspiring, but also complex, full of hidden lessons and subtle warnings. Every step required attention, reflection, and courage. After finishing her tea, Amelia returned to the streets. She followed the map's directions to an abandoned theater, its doors slightly ajar. Inside, the theater was dark, with dust motes dancing in the sunlight that streamed through broken windows. The stage was empty, but the walls were decorated with murals of performers, musicians, and dancers, dreams of people who had once wished for applause, recognition, or simply the joy of creation. Amelia explored the theater carefully, taking notes, sketching murals, and recording observations in her journal. She realized that every corner of the city held stories, every wall contained dreams, and every forgotten space had meaning. As evening approached, Amelia sat on the theater steps, looking at the sunset over the city. The golden light reflected on the windows, illuminating the streets with a warm glow. She wrote in her journal, "Every day I discover more layers of this city. Every dream I uncover reminds me that life is full of possibilities, stories, and lessons. I am part of something greater, something timeless and alive. Solaria is not just a city. It is a reflection of human hope, ambition, and memory." With that thought, Amelia prepared for the night ahead. She knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new mysteries, and perhaps encounters that would test her courage, intellect, and heart. She felt ready. The city of forgotten dreams was vast, infinite in its secrets, and she was determined to uncover every story, every dream, and every hidden voice. The next morning, Amelia woke to the soft sound of rain tapping against her window. The city seemed quieter than usual, as if it were holding its breath. She dressed quickly, packed her journal and camera, and stepped out into the streets of Solaria, eager to continue her exploration. The map she had found led her to an old bridge that spanned a narrow canal in the city's oldest district. The stones of the bridge were worn smooth by countless footsteps, and moss grew between the cracks. As she walked across, Amelia noticed small carvings in the stone, names, dates, short messages etched into the surface by people long gone. Each carving was a tiny fragment of a forgotten story. She ran her fingers over the inscriptions, imagining the hands that had carved them and the lives behind them. Following the map, Amelia entered a section of the city that seemed untouched by time. Narrow alleys twisted unpredictably, and tall buildings leaned over the streets like silent guardians. She noticed a faint golden light emanating from one alley and cautiously approached. There, partially hidden behind a wooden gate, was a small courtyard with a fountain in the center. Water trickled slowly from the spout, shimmering in the soft light. Around the courtyard were benches, statues, and small gardens, each one containing an intricate scene carved in stone or painted on the walls. Amelia sat on a bench and examined the details. Each sculpture depicted a moment of human emotion, joy, sorrow, hope, fear, and love. she realized that the city of forgotten dreams preserved not only ideas and ambitions, but also feelings, experiences, and memories. It was a living tapestry of human life, waiting to be discovered and understood. As she explored, Amelia noticed a narrow door partially concealed by ivy. The door seemed older than anything she had seen so far, with strange symbols etched along the frame. With a deep breath, she pushed it open and stepped inside. She found herself in a vast library, larger than any she had visited before. Books and scrolls stretched to the ceiling, and ladders leaned against the shelves, reaching for higher levels. Soft light filtered through stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the floor. Amelia wandered through the library, marveling at the sheer quantity of knowledge stored there. She picked up a thick volume on architecture and city planning from centuries past, then a collection of letters from poets and musicians. Each item seemed to tell a story about dreams that had been postponed, forgotten, or abandoned. Hours passed unnoticed. Amelia read about people who had once envisioned great inventions, traveled to distant lands, or written extraordinary works of art that were never shared. She felt a profound connection to these voices, understanding that every dream, no matter how small or unnoticed, had value. Then she found a journal lying open on a reading desk. The handwriting was elegant but hurried. The journal belonged to a woman named Ilara, who had dedicated her life to documenting the forgotten dreams of Solaria. Ilara had written about her own struggles, how she had fought to preserve memory, knowledge, and hope in a city that often overlooked the small and personal in favor of the grand and public. She read a passage aloud. "Dreams are fragile. They can be lost in noise, forgotten in haste, or buried under the weight of reality. But those who seek, who observe, and who listen can find them again. The city speaks to those who pay attention." The words resonated deeply with Amelia. She understood that her journey was not just an adventure, it was a responsibility. The city entrusted her with its stories, and she had to honor them by listening, recording, and learning. As evening fell, Amelia left the library and returned to the courtyard. Lanterns flickered to life, casting a warm, inviting glow. She sat by the fountain, reflecting on the day's discoveries. The city felt alive around her, as if aware of her presence, guiding her steps and rewarding her curiosity. She opened her journal and wrote, "Today I learned that the city is not only about places, it is about people, dreams, and memories. Every corner I explore, every book I read, every carving I notice brings me closer to understanding the invisible threads that connect us all. The city of forgotten dreams is infinite, and I am only beginning to understand its depth." With a final glance at the courtyard, Amelia stood up, determined to continue her journey tomorrow. She knew that more mysteries awaited, hidden passages, secret messages, and voices from the past that needed to be heard. The city was vast, layered, and alive, and Amelia was ready to explore every inch of it, uncovering forgotten dreams and connecting them with the present. The following morning, Amelia woke before sunrise again. A soft fog hung over Solaria, covering the streets in a pale, almost magical veil. She could barely see the outlines of the buildings, and the city felt quieter than ever, as if it were waiting for her next step. Her bag was packed with her journal, camera, pencils, and a small lantern she had found in the library. Today, she would explore a part of the city she had never dared to enter, the Old Quarter. The Old Quarter was known among locals for its abandoned buildings and forgotten alleyways. Many said it was dangerous, mysterious, or haunted by memories that had been left behind. Amelia, however, was not afraid. She knew that fear often hid the greatest discoveries. With careful steps, she entered a narrow street, lined with shuttered windows and crumbling walls. Ivy climbed over the bricks, and small plants grew through cracks in the pavement. As she walked, Amelia noticed faint markings on the walls, tiny symbols etched in stone or painted with faded colors. She had seen these before, but never in such concentration. They seemed like messages from someone who had wanted to communicate with the future. She photographed them and copied their patterns into her journal. Halfway down the street, she stumbled upon a small, hidden courtyard. In the center was a fountain with no water, surrounded by statues depicting people in various poses, thinking, dreaming, laughing, or crying. Amelia felt a strange connection to them. It was as if each statue represented a forgotten dream waiting to be remembered. While examining one of the statues, Amelia noticed a loose brick at the base. Curious, she gently pushed it aside. Behind the brick was a small, narrow staircase leading downwards. She hesitated for a moment, the air smelling damp and earthy, but her curiosity won. Carefully, she descended the stairs, her lantern casting long shadows on the walls. At the bottom, she discovered a hidden underground chamber filled with shelves and boxes containing papers, old photographs, and artifacts. It was a secret archive, probably hidden for decades. Amelia spent hours going through the materials, uncovering stories of people who had lived in Solaria long ago. There were love letters, drawings, notes about inventions, poems, and personal reflections. Each item was a testament to someone's life, their hopes, and their fears. Among the artifacts, Amelia found a diary belonging to a man named Victor, who had lived in Solaria over 50 years ago. Victor's diary was filled with sketches of fantastical machines and notes about his inventions. He had dreamed of creating devices that could help people communicate across distances instantly, long before modern technology made it possible. Reading his words, Amelia felt a deep admiration. Victor's dreams had not been forgotten entirely. She was now their witness. Time passed quickly. Amelia realized that the sun had already begun to set. The chamber was dim, and shadows stretched across the walls. She reluctantly packed her materials and climbed the stairs back into the courtyard. As she emerged, the city looked different in the evening light. Lanterns glowed softly, and the fog created an ethereal atmosphere. She felt that Solaria was alive in a way she had never experienced before. Sitting on a bench in the courtyard, Amelia opened her journal and wrote, "Every day I uncover more stories, more dreams, more lives that shaped this city in ways no one remembers. Solaria is not just a city of buildings, it is a city of people, their passions and their memories. Every hidden corner, every secret archive, every mural speaks to those willing to listen. I feel honored to be one of them." Amelia knew that tomorrow would bring new paths, new discoveries, and more voices from the past. The city of forgotten dreams was vast, mysterious, and alive, and she was determined to explore it fully. She realized that this journey was more than just a quest to uncover forgotten stories. It was a journey to understand human dreams, perseverance, and the way memories shape our lives. As the fog thickened and the lanterns cast warm glows across the courtyard, Amelia closed her journal for the night, feeling both exhausted and inspired. She knew that the city had many layers yet to reveal, and she was ready to continue, to explore, and to witness the dreams that Solaria had held for so long.